So today I'm talking to you about what's known as the PRCA NFR Wrangler Finals. Now the PRCA stands for the Professional Rodeo Cowboys Association, and the NFR is the National Finals Rodeo. Now these finals are a big deal in all the rodeo circuits. Before I get started, I want to let you know this is what is known as a barrier. This little rope here is attached to the animal that's in the pen, and then roped across where the cowboy sits. Now, I'm going to use the term repeatedly throughout this speech, so it was a good idea to make sure you guys knew what the barrier was before we got started. Now, in order to qualify to make it into the finals, a cowboy or cowgirl has to attend 8 of the rodeos, as well as 20 performances throughout the year, or they cannot qualify to enter the finals. The Wrangler Finals take place in Las Vegas, Nevada. This year they're going to be December 1st through the 10th. Last year they were on December 3rd through the 12th. And it was it's a long thing, and so many people show up. It's amazing to see. So there's different categories. There's 7 different ones. The first one is called bareback riding. Now in a bareback riding, the cowboy sits on a horse with no saddle in a small pen. And then they hold onto this rigging that's around the horse's body, and they hold onto it with one hand, and the other hand has to go up in the air. Now, if they let go, they fall off. Their goal is to stay on for 8 seconds. If they don't make it 8 seconds, they don't get it's not a full ride, they don't get a score. Now, obviously you can get hurt doing this too. We'll talk about that more later though. Saddle bronc riding. They are on an animal that is several hundred pounds heavier than those bareback horses. Most people don't realize, they think they're the same size. They're not. The broncs are hundreds of pounds heavier than those bareback horses. But bareback is considered the most dangerous of all of them. Same thing applies. They go onto a horse. This one has a saddle on it though, and they have reins. And you would take the one rope is tied to the reins, and that's what they hold on to with the one hand, and the other one goes up in the air. So if you're sitting on this animal, how comfortable are you going to be? They're going to buck you around. You're holding on to one rope. You got to have guts to do this. I mean, I don't think I could. Another category, steer wrestling. Now, this one, my son thinks is cool to watch. The steer wrestlers are also known as bulldoggers. And they have a hazer, which is this guy right over here. He's just out of sight. He keeps the steer from going away from the bulldogger. So his job is to keep that steer as close to the bulldogger as possible, because that bulldogger is galloping on their horse, and they're jumping off the galloping horse to wrestle the steer to the ground. The horse doesn't stop. They don't jump to the ground, and no, they jump off their galloping horse and take the animal down the ground. And the animals have horns, as you can see. They have to grab those horns, and they have to get that animal to the ground. The time does not stop until they get the steer on its side, and all 4 legs have to be pointing in the same direction. So if that steer's on its side and 2 legs are this way, 2 legs are that way, the time is still running. Fastest time wins. This is called tie-down roping, or it's calf roping. Cowboy starts off on his own horse this time, and they are in a pen, and that's where the barrier comes into place where you saw it. There's a barrier attached to the pen where the calf is, and it runs across there. If they start and break that rope before the calf lets it drop, because the calf has to go so far out, and then the rope will drop, and then the cowboy can take after him. He has to take one rope and rope the calf around the neck, tie that to the horn on his saddle, jump off, and then tie 3 legs of the calf together. He puts his hands up like this, time stops, and he goes back onto his horse and pulls leg. They wait about 6 seconds to see if the calf stays roped or can manage to get loose, to see if he gets a score or not. There's only one event, there's a team event, team roping. There's a header and a footer. I've got them labeled on here, but it's hard to see. This is our footer, our heel, and our header is over here. Same thing, the animal gets a head start and there's a barrier. The header starts after, as soon as the barrier is broke, and he has to rope the animal around the neck, or the horns, any of that. The heeler then starts up and has to get the hind legs. They pull the slack tight The animal can't move, and the horses have to face each other, and the time stops. Again, fastest time wins. A lot of these are, it's the fastest time. There's only one event that is for females. And we all know one person that does this, and Amy English now, was Sealy. She barrel races. She just hasn't made it to the finals yet. She starts off on her horse, and she races as soon as they tell her go. She goes as fast as she can, and she has to run around a cloverleaf pattern of 3 barrels, and then race back out. There's a line that she has to cross for the time to start, and then when she crosses that line again going out, the time stops. And if she knocks over the barrel, it doesn't say no score, but it does give her a penalty, which we will go over later. They say that bareback riding is the most dangerous. I personally think bull riding is the most dangerous because that animal is 2,000 pounds that they are riding on. And they have very sharp points. Basically, they get on the animal in a very small pen again. When they say they're ready, they nod, they open the pen, and they hold on just a single rope around the animal behind their shoulders with one hand, and they have to stay on as long as possible. 8 seconds. You don't get 8 seconds, you don't get a score, you don't get any prizes. So in order for scoring, we have bareback riding. Bareback and saddle bronc are actually pretty similar when it comes to their scoring. The bareback, they have to have what's called marking out, which means the spurs that are on the back of their boots have to sit on the animal's shoulders until that animal's hooves hit the ground the first time after they buck up a little bit. Their hooves have to hit the front, and then they can move their feet. If they do beforehand, no score. You're disqualified instantly. I mean, it doesn't matter how well you ride after that. If you're not marking out, they won't score you. You're instantly disqualified. You're out. There is certain things they are graded on. Their spurring technique. They have to have their toes pointed a certain degree outward. Otherwise, they don't get a score either. They do score on the horse's ability to buck, how well they're bucking. If they're not bucking a lot, you're not going to get a high score because they're just not really showing your skills. So you have to get a really good horse when you do this stuff too. You don't get a good horse, you're not going to get a good score. And then another one is you're going to take a lot of beating with the bareback because there's nothing between you and that animal. Nothing. I mean, you got that little rigging and that's all. So you have to move with the horse and you have to basically stay on that animal and stay where you're supposed to be, or you're not going to get a very good score either. For the saddle one, they grade the horse on their bucking. The cowboy's ability to control their upper body as well as their spurring moment. For either side, if that free hand touches that animal, they're out. They're disqualified. That free hand cannot touch the animal. Once the buzzer goes off to let them know that 8 seconds is up, they can use their other hand finally to free themselves and get off. And they do have rodeo cowboys. That's what their job is, to help distract the animals so they can get away. And those guys are pretty cool. They get awards too every year. So the main goal for a saddle bronc ride, though, is smooth ride, and they want to keep rhythm with the horse. Because the better you do, the higher the score, the more likely you are to win. Now, for team roping, basically, the header has to rope either both horns, one horn and the head, or the neck. They don't, no score. Then the heeler has to do their job. They have to get both hind feet in that rope. If they don't, if they only get one, it's a 5-second penalty. And since the fastest time wins, if you lose 5 seconds, that's a huge thing in the rodeo. You can win by a 1/10 of a second. And it's happened. They literally have won by a 1/10 of a second. If they had gotten those both feet, the one team would have won instead of the other. I mean, literally, it's so close. The tie-down roping. That is, like I said, the barrier. Now, the penalties about barriers, you break that barrier 10 seconds on your time. So you break the barrier, there's no way you're going to win. There's none. Because those other guys are not breaking the barrier and they're not getting that penalty. If the calf gets loose on the tie-down roping, which is when they jump off the calf and they have to rope that calf up, If he gets loose, no score, disqualified. So you can do all that work for nothing. I mean, kind of no fun, but these guys make a living on it and they love it. Another one is steer wrestling. Fastest time wins. Again, it's only the bucking motion. If you're riding a bull, you're riding a bronc, you're riding a horse. Those are the only ones where they grade you on your technique. Steer wrestling, if that bulldogger breaks that barrier, 10-second penalty. Otherwise, for the most part, you just got to get that animal down and get him flat. And try not to hurt yourself doing so. I've seen a few of those too. Barrel racing, again, there's no judges, just a clock. For every barrel you knock down, it's a 5-second penalty though. So if they make it tip and it wobbles a little but it stands back up, it's fine. If they knock it over, they lose 5 seconds off their time and there pretty much goes their win as well. It happened last year's finals. The one was doing amazing and knocked over the last barrel on the last day. So, it happens. Bull riding. You don't have to spur for bull riding. It's the only one of the ones that they do this for. Like the bucking and all that. It's the only one you don't have to spur. You can, and it can add to your score. If you do a really good job spurring, they might actually add decent points to your score. But you don't have to. They basically see if you can stay on for 8 seconds and you can, maintain control. You don't look like you're flopping around like a rag doll on that animal. You get a good score. And as long as that hand never touches the animal. And you got 2,000 pounds bucking under you, how well are you going to keep that hand off that animal? I don't know about you, but I couldn't do that one at all. Now, this is a picture of one of the guys that got hurt last year. There was a lot of injuries. This is the nicest picture. I was not putting the detailed pictures up. Most of the common injuries, broken bones, cracked ribs, facial lacerations are bad. And those happen more often than anything else. They get cuts and scrapes almost every ride. And they look pretty gruesome sometimes. They get lots of sprains, they tear ligaments, and some guys will get hurt the first day, be back 2 or 3 days later and back on the animal, even though that ligament's just not healed all the way. But that's their life. They don't get on the animal, they don't make the money. Broken ribs, concussions is the other most common one. A lot of these guys, and they will get sidelined for a couple days. If the doctors don't clear you, you can't ride. But the concussions are the ones that usually keep them out the longest because it is a head injury. Now for the prizes. These are the winners from last year with all their prizes. We had people tie up. We had a 3-way tie for the one category. You get cash, you get saddles, you get belt buckles. Now for these ones, the bareback one, we had a 3-way tie. Each of those cowboys brought home $20,872 at the end of that week. For the steer wrestling, as well as the team wrestling and the saddle wrestling, as well as the bull riding and the barrel racing, they all brought home the same prize. There was only one winner in each category, and it was $26,231. Now for the tie-down racing, there was 2 winners, and they won $23,481 each for the week. For 1 week of riding, that's what they were able to bring home. But they also walked away with a lot of injuries. These are our bareback winners. There's Tim O'Connell, Tanner Oss, and Stephen Peebles. That one's like it. I was hoping he was going to win. This was our lone steer wrestler winner, Baylor Roche. And this is Aaron Sinigan, sorry, I always mispronounce his name, and Ryan Mopes. This is who I root for. I was glad when he won too, because I love it when the guys I root for place and they take that first place. It's actually a rush since I can't do it myself. For our saddle winner, this is Wade Sindel. He's another one. He's been in this business, I think, about as long as I've been alive. He's one of the top guys, and he finally came back up after a really bad injury a few years back. And then our tie-down tie was Tough Cooper and Tyson Durfee. This is right, Tough and Ty. And then our lone female winner, this is Sherry Serby. She's been in it for a while too. As you can tell, she loves animals. I had to find a really good picture of her, and this was the best one I could find because every other picture, she's on the horses at racing those barrels, and you can't see her face. She's fast. And our last winner for bull riding, this was Wesley Silcox. And he had almost a perfect ride. He rode with the bull in sync, like, perfectly. He didn't flop around, he was in control the entire time, and he had one of the toughest bulls in the circuit. So with that fact that he got one of the highest scores I've seen in a long time, because you get a tough bull, you get a better score. If you can maintain your control on that bull, you get the best score you can possibly get, and he did. More information, there's 4 links that are most common for people that want to know. They break it down, they tell you the different things, the different categories, what they're about, how they score, how you can join up, what you'd have to do. They have applications if anybody actually wants to do it. All that stuff is right on those links. Thank you.
All right. Nicole, how do they determine that?
Oh,